Hi, and welcome to AIM's weekly video recap of happenings in the Indiana General Assembly. It appears that this is week 9 of the session, not like I said last week. Either way, joining us today are Jenna Bentley, AIM Government Affairs Director, and AIM CEO, Matt Greller. Matt, Jenna, welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Well, this week marks a really exciting time during the legislative session where I stop reminding everyone about AIM's legislative dinner coming up because we just had it. We had that dinner this week. So I'm not going to be plugging it again, but I do think it'd be a good idea to do a recap for those who weren't in attendance to maybe give them some information, but also entice them to attend next year. It's a great event. This year, I think it's fair to say in several categories, it was our best ever. It was certainly the best attended. We had around 450 registrants. That included about 80 lawmakers registered. That's just amazing. So leaving talk of legislation out for a second, we'll get to that. But what were one or two things that really stood out to you both during the event? Again, not necessarily pertaining to legislation. So Matt?
I think just the attendance from the membership was excellent, as you noted. I thought the members, from what I could tell, were really engaged with their local legislators. They did a nice job of not just communicating about legislation, but trying to build a relationship, talking about what was happening non-legislatively in their communities, why it was important to have legislators understand what they do on a daily basis. So that was always good to see, and it seemed like I heard more of that this time around.
Jenna?
Yeah, and I'd say from my perspective, it was really good to see. We have, I think, 17 or 18 freshman legislators who are new to the General Assembly this year, and a lot of them attended this year's dinner. And so events like this really lay the groundwork, one, as a introduction to AIM and the issues we work on, but the type of events we put together and the opportunities we can help facilitate between them and their local members, municipal members. So that was really positive, and got a lot of positive feedback from legislators about how they always appreciate the opportunity to meet with their local officials in the midst of session. So all in all, I just think continues to be a good evening to build relationships, but create new relationships if they don't already exist, and really highlight what AIM as an organization does.
Yeah, for me, it was the mood. Like, I felt like there wasn't any tension in the air. I felt like lawmakers didn't enter on guard to be bombarded. They didn't enter feeling like they were headed in to get an earful. Like, I mean, in previous years, going way back, I do think there was that tension there, that I'll come to your reception, I'll come to your dinner, and then I'm going to get out as quick as I can because you're just telling me all the bad things. So I think it's the mood was light. It was entered. I think everyone entered just ready for a good evening with each other, and to kind of continue those grassroots type efforts and conversations that we've been having for the last few years. So I mean, I think it's a testament to the program too, that those efforts are paying off, and they do want to attend, and the numbers don't lie. They want to be there. And I thought it was just really evident to me. So nice work, Jenna, to you and the team.
Appreciate that. And even just to quickly add, there's still some really tough issues out there that we have to talk about, but I do get the sense that they're coming to us for information as they weigh property taxes and TIF and all of the big stuff we always talk about. I just get the sense that they view not only AIM, but our membership as a resource, which creates that kind of level of trust, which is always very helpful.
Right. Well, let's stay on the dinner just a little longer, but I would like to hear kind of along what you're starting there, Jenna, what conversations you both had or heard that would shed some light on any particular bills or issues. Matt, were there some substantive discussions you can point to that said to you, wow, this dinner provides us a lot of great time to build relationships, but we also learn things?
Yeah, I think so. The governor's remarks, certainly as it related to the READY program being back in the budget, it's clear that it's a top priority for him as we expected, which was good to see. He talked a lot about the leveraging of dollars happening at the local level, and I heard more about that probably than ever before, and how communities are using their community foundations, local businesses, and all sorts of different avenues to build on this quality of place investment opportunity that's in front of them. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That issue or idea just continues to build momentum, which is very positive. Specifically, I guess I also heard a number of our members that were talking directly to legislators, whether it was about merit boards or whether it was about property taxes or TIF. They really understood the issues and did a good job of speaking directly on them.
Jenna?
Yeah, so I, during the dinner, I was grateful to sit with Representative Matt Lehman and 3 of his mayors and a couple of council members from his district. And it was really timely because he's carrying a bill dealing with training requirements for fiscal officers, so clerks, controllers, clerk treasurers. And that bill was scheduled to be heard the following day, so yesterday. And it was just a really good opportunity to talk about why he's carrying that bill, ideas he has for the future, and just get the municipal perspective. And I think he is really coming from a place of, we want to ensure that our local elected officials have the best kind of education opportunities and training opportunities as they handle fiscal related issues. So that was positive. And it's always great to touch base with Chairman Jim Buck, who chairs Senate Local Government. Obviously, he is a chairman that we don't always agree on all of the issues, but we were able to touch base on a number of things, and just that we can navigate that relationship where, hey, we might not support your annexation bill, but we appreciate you getting our feedback on things related to live streaming meetings and small town related legislation. I was able to talk with him about that. And I know Campbell had the chance to sit with Senator Charbonneau, who's been really leading the public health efforts this legislative session. And so just all in all, a good opportunity to collaborate with some of those leaders in a kind of non-state house setting.
Right. Governor Holcomb, I thought, was as laid back as I've seen him at one of our events. He continues to attend. So we see him at the AIM Idea Summit. We see him annually at the legislative dinner, which tells me that he values this relationship. We aren't just one of those associations that he tries to check a box and visit every few years. He sees the value. He understands that we actually have a lot in common in terms of our goals for Indiana. I didn't know if you all felt the same way. Do you sense that attending these kinds of events is more than just accepting a sort of a must do on his priority list?
I think so. I mean, I think it goes back with him even as far back as when he worked for Governor Daniels years ago. He was always engaged with local leaders, local folks at the city and town level. It carried over to when he was the chairman of the party in Indianapolis before becoming governor. He focused heavily on various municipal elections and things like that, and he clearly sees the importance on both sides of the aisle now. He's in regular communication with mayors, with managers, with others throughout the state. So it's good to see. It's good to have a governor in there that recognizes the importance of city and town leadership.
Yeah, and one of the questions Mark Myers asked him was about having an open door on property taxes, which is where we're going to pivot next. But he he was like, of course, I have an open door. And I think that's true. I think when AIM or one of our members needs his ear, they've been able to have that, which is great. Jenna, anything to add on the governor before I pivot?
I was just quickly going to say that even from the staff level too, it's always great to collaborate with, as director of intergovernmental affairs and state agency heads. There were a number of them who attended the dinner, and the open door not only starts with the governor, but continues down, whether it's INDOT or the Indiana Finance Authority. I just think he's really set the precedent to cultivate that relationship between us and those important agencies.
Right. So I want to talk about residential property taxes. I want to know if we get the sense that we're in the second half now. The House Bill 1499 has gone over to the Senate. And so I know we're starting these conversations over there. What are you hearing in terms of the Senate's reception to House Bill 1499, which, just as a reminder, we've talked about it here quite a bit, but it is the House bill that houses several different property tax reforms targeted at what we expect will be high property tax bills coming here in April. So what's the reception of 1499, Jenna, over in the Senate?
Yeah, so we had a meeting with Chairman Holdman, who chairs Tax and Fiscal Policy, earlier this week. And there are 8 provisions within 1499. And according to Chairman Holdman, they're taking a deeper look at how each of those 8 provisions would impact the underlying units. So there's even been an updated fiscal released in the last couple of days that breaks down the MLGQ provision and all the tax cap provision. And I think Chairman Holdman continues to have the opinion that this is the system working. We have market-based assessments, and this isn't state dollars that we would limit or reduce, that this is revenue for local units of government. And so he let us know he would continue to talk to Chairman Thompson, and that 1499 is really just a starting place of concepts. And we even got that impression too from Chairman Thompson when we met with him on Monday, that they're not married to really any of these specific provisions. I'd say the House, more than the Senate, is dug in though on doing something.
Mm-hmm. Matt, do you get that sense too, that lawmakers are still assuming April is going to be a devastating blow? And or do you feel like the message that the current system is already designed to withstand market volatility, is that resonating at all? Or are we really just in a situation where something's going to happen?
I think it's resonating. At the end of the day, we want property values to increase. That's everybody's goal. If you own property, you want the value of it to increase. It's, you often hear it's our largest purchase an individual will make. Mm-hmm. And those controls are in place. Cities and towns took it on the chin years ago when the caps went into place. Many communities lost significant revenue. So those parameters and those guardrails are working for a situation just like we're experiencing now. So yeah, we have experienced and are experiencing higher than typical growth in property value. That's why legislators 15 years ago put the caps in place, and let's let the process work and see where we are. And if there's tweaks that need to be made after we see where the bills land and where, let's do it that way versus a blanket approach that will often hurt those that are already struggling the most worse and not others. So we want to make sure we're helping folks that are hardest hit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jenna, every year at the State House, there are bills that they apply to some AIM members, not to all. Some apply. So some create winners and losers, or sometimes they, it just depends. Not all bills apply straight across the board to all municipalities. I think House Bill 1016 is an example of that. It is a bill that has significant impact on home rule, but does not apply to everyone. We still have to take it seriously when we see legislation that does disregard local decision making. So you want to talk about House Bill 1016. It's been in legislative summary before. We haven't talked about it too much, so maybe just giving a little context to what's in the written summary and giving a status would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So House Bill 1016 is one of those bills that was heard within the first or second week of session during the first half. So we haven't really talked about it in over a month or so. But what it does is you're exactly right. It goes to local decision making. And so that's been the message that we have to get through is, so it deals with merit systems. A lot of communities already have a merit system in place, so this bill would not impact them. But for those communities who have chosen to govern their public safety decisions related to hiring, firing, promotions differently, this would automatically opt them in to having a merit system. Right now, to opt in, the council would pass an ordinance, they would work that out locally, but this takes away that option for the local unit to decide. So they'd be automatically opted into having a merit system. And then the opt out is even tricky, where it wouldn't be the local unit, the local town or city council saying, we want to opt out. You would have to pass the ordinance to opt out. And then 51% of the public safety groups would also have to decide to opt out. So really, you're turning the process on its head by saying this is a local council decision right now, but now ultimately, if this bill were to pass, it becomes a public safety group decision. And part of the concerns there is, over time, the General Assembly has limited municipalities' ability to have residency requirements, for instance. So cities can't have residency requirements for their public safety officials, and most towns can't. And after this session, if 1055 passes, no towns will be able to have residency requirements for public safety. So by having the vote come down to 51% of your public safety officials, we've heard from some communities who have concerns that, the majority of our police or fire officials don't even live within our municipal boundaries, and they're going to be ultimately responsible for a big decision on how, on what kind of system they have in place. So really the heart of it is it changes the process and who ultimately decides. And so that was heard in Senate Pensions on Wednesday. We appreciate Senator Rogers held the bill. She asked us to meet with the stakeholders who are advocating for it. So the professional firefighters, the FOP, and the fire and police chiefs are the four groups who testified in support of the bill. So I'll be meeting with them to see if we can work out some type of compromise that, allows for the local council to have a greater say in whether or not a merit system is established. But it is back on the calendar for pensions next Wednesday for amend and vote only. So there won't be any more testimony, but it's at that meeting where they'll decide if they accept a compromise or they vote on the current version of the bill.
All right. Thanks, Jenna. Anything else for this week, guys? Anything you want to throw in as a preview or recap of the week?
I would just say some good news on some initiatives. The public notice bill, which is just a summer study, that bill is being heard in Senate Local Government on Thursday. The prepayments and deposits bill is being heard on Tuesday. Chris has had some really good meetings on designated outdoor refreshment areas. So as we chug along on some other issues, I'm grateful that our initiatives continue to kind of move along for now.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Just a reminder to review the tracking list at the bottom of your AIM legislative summary email and contact any one of us at AIM if you have any questions or concerns, and especially let Jenna know if there are any bills that you're watching or you are concerned about. Thanks, and we'll see everyone next week.